This is a Blairing Out with Eric Blair show. We're here at Namm Jam 2020 with the man, the myth, the legend, the bass virtuoso, Marco Mendoza.
Blairing Out with Eric. Thanks for the introduction. That was your introduction.
Since we last spoke, you were already predicting, you're like, I'm in this band called the Dead Daisies.
Yes.
They're amazing. Everybody's going to love them. And you did your run with the Dead Daisies. It was an amazing
6
run.
years. 6 years. It was a great run. Great run.
What would you say the highlight of your time with the Dead Daisies was?
Oh, there's so many. You can't even, we need a couple hours. But first of all, to get to play with the cream of the crop, the players that I played with, I could name the names, but we went through a bunch of cats, you know. Richard, starting off with Richard Fortes, Guns N' Roses, Dizzy Reed, Brian Tichy, John Stevens, he's an amazing singer. The first lineups, you know, and David Lowy at the helm, and then going through a couple of you know, lineup changes and all that, but always bringing the cats in. So for me, I was the thread that was always there from the beginning, so I got to experience the whole thing. It was great. We had a great run. And now, I'm excited for them, honestly, because I just spoke with Doug, and I talked to Dean, and I touched base with David here and there. And I know Glenn, I'm a big fan of him. He's a brother. Hello, Glenn. And so he's taking over. And anything that Glenn does is just top notch. So
Voice of Rock,
Exactly.
Glenn Hughes.
He's amazing, man, and a big fan. I'm a big fan still. So I'm looking forward to hearing. I heard a little bit of stuff. You know, they let us get us a little teaser, and I know it's going to be great.
We all know that you did an album back in 2005 with
Wow.
Neal Schon, Soul Circus.
Wow.
Which was an amazing album.
Yes.
With Jeff Scott Soto singing,
Yeah.
Virgil Donati playing drums.
Yes.
And also
But it
for a
was
while, Dean was playing drums.
He was actually, we recorded the whole album with Dean, and then a few situations came up. He couldn't go on the road, so we decided to keep moving forward, and so we called, Virgil came in and killed us.
You got called upon recently, I guess it's been a year, to do the Neal Schon Journey Through Time with Dean Castronova singing, Greg Raleigh, and
Neal Schon,
you and Neal
Sean
Schon.
Barn on keyboard. It was amazing, great experience. We actually did it, not expecting the kind of response that we got. So we'll see what the future brings. Maybe we can, you know, readdress that. But everybody's busy. You know, Greg's really busy with Ringo Starr. I'm doing my solo. Dean's with the Daisies, and Neal, of course, he's busy with Journey, real busy. So, time allowing and desire, if we all so desire to make it happen. In the future, we'll see. Just stay tuned, you know. I always tell everybody, go to marcomendoza.com, because there's always things popping up last minute, and I always announce everything. So, like that.
There were rumors that band was going to actually record an album.
Yes. And I never say never. I think some of the live things were recorded, and we shot video and audio as well. So you never know. You know, like I said, it's when the time is right and it's supposed to happen, it will happen. I'm getting together with Greg to do something here next week. We're doing a little something that hopefully will be announced here in the future, and we're having a blast. It's all we want to think about is get the music down, have fun, and then the rest takes care of itself, like it does in this business, you know. So you go in, you pay attention to what the moment, here and now, and then the rest takes care of itself.
As far as the timeline goes, the Dead Daisies comes to an end.
Yes.
And then your solo stuff starts.
Well, it actually started before, to be honest. I released my third album in 2018. I want to say February of 2018. 2018 February, and then the Daisies album came out in April. So obviously my priorities were the Dead Daisies, so I did a few days behind my solo album. It's Viva La Rock, by the way, Viva La Rock on Target Mighty Music. Check it out. I love that album. I'm very proud of it. Soren Anderson, myself, we had a lot of fun, and I think it shows on the album. But there's some good songs, great production. He kills it, mixing, playing, the whole thing, and we had a blast. I did a tribute thing to Ted, for Ted Nugent, Uncle Ted. Love and respect, always. I did a little tribute to Thin Lizzy, who, I spent a lot of time there. And then we wrote some songs and had fun. The label was really happy. So I did that. I did a few dates and then jumped on the Dead Daisies wagon and we did that. So it's all good, man. 19 started with us. John decided to move on, not having a singer, and there's a lot of things that happen. A little complicated, but it's going to be a long interview. So let's just say I decided to pay attention to my solo thing, and I opened the door, and I started getting invites everywhere, all over the planet. So I'm going, wow, people are digging this. I'm going to pay attention to. So that's what I'm doing. This year we're going to release another album in August, July maybe. We're going to release a few singles. I fly at the end of February to finish the album in Copenhagen, so we're all good.
Tell me about your sound. What does your solo sound like?
It's, we wanted to address my favorite, in my opinion, for me, the 70s, 80s, the beginning of the 80s, but mostly the 70s sound, which is analog, 3-4 cats playing rock and roll. There's a lot of influences, you can consider so many bands that I've been influenced by and inspired by. So there's little colors of this and little colors of that, but it's rock and roll. Rock blues, I'm the singer, which is a trip because people come to my shows, they don't know what to expect, but they go, wow, great, Marco. So yeah, I'm fronting, singing, playing bass, and being funny. I don't know.
Marco, what do you think is so endearing about you to your fans?
I don't know, brother. I hear that a lot. I'll tell you, I'm very humbled and I appreciate it. All I can say is I just try to be me, man, wherever I go. That's all. And if we all took a minute to realize that there's only one you on earth, there's only one Marco, and be okay in your own skin, you start appreciating that when people give you the compliments, because I'm not trying to live up to anything. I try to be the best person I can, be kind, be gentle, tactful, and treat people with respect. And then it comes back at the end of the day. So that's what it is, man. And no, there's a little value, artistic value there. It's got to be there, because otherwise people wouldn't pay attention. But I think the important thing is that people know the person, and that's what it is. I'm the same guy that I'm here, I'm on stage. Same cat, nothing extra, nothing less. Boom. I'll try to sing as good as I can. I'll try to write as soon as I can, play as. So people appreciate that you're real,
What did you love about working with John Sykes?
My involvement with John and Blue Murder exposed me, catapulted me into another market, a bigger market, the global thing. It opened the door. And him as a person, we got along so well. We were like kids, man, working in the studio. We had a blast. But the common denominator, the music, his heart, his soul, the music, the talent, the singing, the writing. And then he had a studio at home, killer studio, state-of-the-art studio, so we were spending a lot of time there. We had a blast. So, that's definitely a highlight of my career. When people ask me, that's a big highlight. And then later on, working with Mr. David Coverdale, of course.
Tell me what you love about David and working with him.
Well, when I got the call from him at the beginning, it was like, it's gotta be kidding me. I almost hung up on him. But he was really cool and invited me to come up to his house. And from the moment I walked in, we hit it off. Let's just say, I don't know why or how, dynamically, it was there. There was a connection. I respect the guy so much. He's been such an influence for me and a lot of players and singers and bands and all that. Inspiration, a source of inspiration and influence, right? Somebody to look up to. So to be in his pad, talking to him face to face was definitely a highlight. And then spending time with him writing and recording. Meticulous. He's very meticulous. And that's something I learned because I've always been the opposite. I'm really loose. Whatever is supposed to happen, happens. But I've learned in music and writing to kind of, get your standards up a little higher. Expect more out of yourself, and give yourself time. That's a big one. Time to develop, to channel what's coming down from up there. And that's what he does. So I learned a lot. Source of inspiration. That lineup in particular with the boys was unbelievable. With Doug and Rev and Timothy and Tommy, David. I mean, we were like kids having a blast. And I think it showed on stage. And I'm glad we got to do that, document that thing, still in the night DVD,
Okay, and now let's talk about Neal Schon.
Yes.
What is wonderful about working with him and his personality?
Neal Schon, he's got to be the ultimate musician's musician. He lives it. Constantly moving forward, constantly. So for somebody like that in that position to have the success that he's realized in his career, to always want to push himself and surround himself with people that can do that too, it's just inspirational. Every time he calls, man, we have great chats and we talk a little bit of business, but when we get together to play, it's like connection, immediate. And he also doesn't take himself too serious, He knows how to have fun.
The Blairing Out Show.